On.
Hello, this is Christian Idealism. We are back, and this is the after debate discussion. I believe that was a really good debate on both sides. I think both sides presented a really good case. As far as who I think won, I'm going to have to go with Johann Ratz on this one. I think Johann Ratz really gave a really good case. And as far as the rebuttals, again, I understand the rebuttals that Gasper gave, but ultimately, I think, in my opinion, I think Johann won this debate. And that's my opinion, but that's what I believe. So, any thoughts on the specifics of how the debate went, guys?
Well, I don't want to. I mean, it's kind of bad to judge for yourself who won the debate. You know what I'm saying? If you're one of the participants, so I'm going to abstain from that. I think I understood Gasper's.
Yeah, I think,
view, and I think I.
And that's what I meant. I mean,
I have one video where, because I mean, some of the foundationalist argument, I give a part of an argument. I mean, you can kind of induce, it kind of like intuit that it's obviously God, but there is one video where I actually, and I kind of referred to this in the debate, pan-experientialist metaphysics. I didn't use it in the debate, but the idea is in it, where I actually derived in a very careful way how to start from God itself, and do it in this very rigorous metaphysical way.
And Gasper, I just want to ask you a question. Do you think that the idealist arguments are better than the traditional arguments for God? At least they get to God or make him more probable. Would you agree with that? Even if you don't necessarily believe in God.
No. Yeah, I'd say they're better than the traditional arguments for God or anything from Thomas Aquinas, in my opinion. So,
what about Eric? What do you think, Eric?
A lot of that stuff is over my head, honestly. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get that. I don't know how many views we got, but I'm assuming it's once we get it on your channel, Johann, we should be able to get a few viewers on that debate. I think it went pretty well. Everyone went on time. We kind of went over time like a few minutes because
that happens.
That
even happens in presidential debates. So
yeah, so I can't get perfect time, but we got we did the traditional 90-minute debate. So overall with time, we did a really good job. And so yeah, I mean, you want now that we're in the after debate, you want to get more into the conscious realism and how basically you can get God directly from conscious realism in a way that can actually
mathematic.
I don't want to say prove God because you can't really.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The metaphysical issue.
Yeah, but I think
so far as induction works, even though you could get the mathematics out of pure logic as being apparently seen in what Hoffman is doing.
Yeah. So, what do you think, Gasper? I mean, obviously, I don't know if you looked into other apologists. I know there's popular ones like William Lane Craig, Frank Turk, and they provide evidence and arguments for God, but they're not really like deductive in a they might make God more probable, but not in a way that these arguments do. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty experienced with theological arguments for the most part. I come from a Christian background, so I was raised in a Amish community, so
oh, okay, yeah.
So the thing is, wait, did someone say sorry to hear that?
That was me.
Okay, nice. Anyway, the thing is, it's just my main point is that you can rebuild you can rebuild any system you want that'll be valid and it'll work, and you can change out the premises, and that's the big problem, is how to actually get framework, and it'd be really nice if anyone figured that out. Science is first in line, but science is essentially a really, really it's a very enhanced form of induction.
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, you don't prove things in science. Like, it's just. I think like, it's science is basically this. You get a data sheet, data points, but then you can interpret those data points however you want. I mean, now I know traditionally science goes by the most parsimonious explanation, and so, yeah, obviously science will be first in line in regards to the different interpretations in certain scientific questions, but I do, I guess you could somehow get the metaphysical model from science alone. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's not, science doesn't prove things, it only inductively proves things, not.
Yeah, not in a. It is fun though to try and find ways to integrate science and metaphysics. Fun, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then you got problems in epistemology, which is I can't remember the tremolo, where you can't really prove anything and like objectively.
Trilemma?
Yeah, that tremolo.
Well, that one start the way out of that in the one horn though is the the foundationalist horn.
Well, that. Well, some people try to argue that the foundationalism relies on axiomatic, like they just assume that the mind.
Well, you can say that it's assuming, but you can also say it's it's properly basic or it's innately known.
Here's what I would say about that, because I wasn't sure if we'd have enough time to get into that. It's like, okay, so you can build the whole idealism deduction off of axiomatizing things, innate truths about the mind. Okay, but I question how much essential detail of the subjectivity of the mind is lost when you turn it into an abstract concept that is used to derive inferences. How much is lost in that process?
Say that again.
If you decide to draw inferences from axioms that are grounded in self-evident truths that come from consciousness, what have you, I question how much of the full essence of consciousness translates into that line of inference or reasoning.
I think, in principle, think about it like this: if there's some part of consciousness that we're not aware of, right? You'll see something problematic with that, right? If there's some part of consciousness you're not aware of, then by definition you're unconscious of it, right?
Yeah.
Well, then it's no longer part of consciousness, is it? So by definition, if you know all of your consciousness, so because that's what consciousness is. It's a definite. If there's some part of your consciousness you don't know, it's not part of your consciousness anymore.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that, but the thing with I don't want to interrupt, but the thing with consciousness is that it's hard to define. Like, the word consciousness, there's no way we could physically describe. Like, it doesn't have spatial dimensions. It doesn't have any form. It's like there's no word.
It's non-local.
It's now not just that, but like there's no way that we could define it in a, like, the best way you can define it is awareness, but that doesn't really answer the question. I don't think consciousness, we don't have a word in any language that really truly describes what it is, and I don't think we ever will.
Well, that's simply because it's what's being used. Remember, that's the whole basis for the foundationalist argument. You see, what's used to define everything else. What's used to define everything else cannot be itself be defined, because everything else that there would be to define it is already defined by it.
So consciousness defines itself.
It's the one thing that is it defines itself, and it's the one thing that is used to define everything else. Explain everything else.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I know when you get into like linguistics and stuff, it's kind of difficult to define or make up words to describe something.
Yep.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. Any thoughts on that, or what else do you what I was thinking is you want. Oh yeah, we were gonna talk about ethics, right? Isn't that we're gonna get into the discussion about Gasper?
Well, I suppose we could, but
Yeah, you want to get into that, or you just want to?
we could. I mean, we'd be talking about ethics using two completely different systems of premises, and we wouldn't be working with any first principles. I tend to be a moral relativist, uh, and I understand why. If you take the idealist approach and the theological approach, then you can have moral, let's see, moral universality or whatever. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Moral universalism. Moral universalism.
Yep.
Yeah. But I defer to the to the Izot problem when it comes to actually reasoning about moral issues.
I have a way of thinking about that. You could say everything is. I mean, the is objective. The ought is subjective, right? The ought is subjective to the. And
Yeah.
So you could say morality is subjective, and there is a sense in which it would be ontologically subjective. Of course, as idealist, I think everything is ontologically subjective. That's not really a problem for me.
Right.
So you could still have, though, morality that is epistemically objective, meaning everyone derives the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So, check this out. Remember that old conscious realism thing where you have, separate conscious agents being part of a wave function?
Yeah, I remember seeing your video on that, and you showed the equation for it, etc. Yeah.
Okay. All right, and so you can keep building those wave functions up until you get to a wave function in the universe, right? All conscious agents. Now, at God's level, he's at a different vibration frequency than ours, shall we say. But at the same time, and so that identity is not us, yet at the same time, there is a sense in which our agents are kind of our consciousness is sort of subsumed into God's consciousness, even though we're not the same, at our level we're these separate small agents, and God's this big one that doesn't exist on our Hilbert space frequency. So the thing about that is in your conscious agent, you have a value system, right? And in that thing, relative to you, whether you call it objective or subjective or relative or absolute, it's a value system with a set of concepts of good and bad, right?
Yeah.
And I have one, and Kyle has one, and Eric has one, and there's one written in the Bible, and et cetera, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing about this is that all of those value systems. So now, when you have two conscious agents, right, that are combined, two value systems, they are themselves a third conscious agent, right? According to the combination theorem,
Right.
Hoffman's agent dynamics.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, though, is that agent combines the two value sets, even if they appear to be conflicting somehow.
Mm-hmm.
At that, they would appear to conflict at a lower level, but at that higher level, they could not conflict because they would necessarily be unified into a single whole. A single agent with a single value system. Keep going up the scale, okay? We'll throw Kyle and Eric and so on and everyone into that, and all their conscious agents are combined, and so on and so forth. And you keep going farther up this chain, right? And you get to the universal wave function, aka God's mind, and you can even have the Trinity in there, which is kind of I don't know if you see my integrated triad video? That's going to blow your mind if you haven't. You can derive the Trinity from a very peculiar result in semantic logic, plus Hoffman's conscious realism in a very it'll blow your mind. Like it's not supposed to be conceivable, and yet there. Anyway, when you have this peculiar notion where, from God's perspective, God actually shares everyone's value sets. Isn't that weird? Now, of course, the question is, well, God obviously condemns this or that, so how does that make sense? Well, the answer would be, if there's this one. Firstly, let's start from some basics before we answer that question, just so we can answer the question. And so the thing with that is you have everyone's value sets are included there. And so the fact of that being the case, though, is if you were completely enlightened, and I was completely enlightened, and we may have differences in our moral opinions, but if we were both completely enlightened, okay, like omniscient, everyone was omniscient, based on that, they would all, because it's one universally intersubjective value frame, right? And if it's universally intersubjective, you can start from any one value set and with enough enlightenment, enough logic, and so on, deduce that value set. See?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So you have this omniscient value set, right? And that it doesn't matter who you are; it will ultimately reach that point. Okay. So curiously, then, is that God would be objectively good in an epistemic way, which is the only kind of objectivity you can have in idealism, right? There is an objectively epistemic value set that applies to everyone because they would all derive it from their own value set in theory. You don't have the Ubermensch problem because there's no one value set over another value set because it's all ultimately the same value set, and everyone down below is basically fragments of that value set. They don't realize it though, and that's
so you're saying
evil.
That so all the Democrats and the Republicans compose.
Yeah, as crazy as that sounds,
the emergent God.
Yeah, well, now the thing about this is, of course, is that for example, Democrats hold to something that I think, despite that logically following, for example, I'm very much opposed to abortion, right? And so, how does that make sense, right? Well, the thing with that is that the abortion, what I would argue, and I would think God would be opposed to that too, but being Christian, that would make sense. But the thing with that is,
man, I've met Christians who are pro-choice. There's people
that's
who have
true, but you know what I mean.
Built it just about any system you can think of.
You're right. I know what you mean. I know, but you know what I'm saying. The quote unquote orthodox position on, but I get your point. Okay, but
if you're actually going to follow the reasonings, then you are going to be a Christian who's pro-life. Yes.
play with the scenario, okay? So the point is that I would say that the abortion is not actually something they value in itself, but it's valued as a means to some other end, right?
Right.
Now, the thing is that end that they're valuing is a good end. The problem is, and this is where we're going to get evil, okay? So if God is objectively good, all of his values are objectively good, therefore everything he creates is, by definition, objectively good, because it's based on, the only motive for creating it is this objectively good value set. He conceives of something objectively good and then creates it. That's the only motivation he has, is something objectively good, so therefore the only thing that can come out of that motive is something objectively good. So then the question is, well, where do you get evil? I mean, if God is objectively good, and everything God therefore created is objectively good, and God created everything, then there's no room for evil to exist, is there? Well, so the answer with this is if there's evil, has to be an absence. Then it has to be something that isn't, shall we say? It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, though, which is another problem. So if it's an absence, and obviously it can't be an absence of parts, because if God made something that was absent parts, then that would no longer be good anymore, and therefore it would be evil, and then be made from evil motives, and therefore God would have to be evil, right? Which doesn't make sense based on what we just derived. He's epistemically good from all value frames. So the only way around this is if God has a good creation and then it gets shattered or distorted, and the pieces begin to fracture, and they're like, say if I drop a wine glass. A wine glass is good, okay? I drop it on the floor, it shatters, right? Those broken pieces, as a set, they would comprise that wine glass that they put back together, right?
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is we would consider those broken you step on them, you get your cut foot, right? It's not a good thing. It's a bad, evil thing, right? So evil is essentially that. And so all bad values that we think are bad are actually distorted values. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So what I was thinking is, just think of it, okay, no one can be bad just for the sake of being bad. You have to, in order, like any evil person you meet, they're not doing evil things to be evil. They're doing it because they want something good, right? That's the whole motive.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the whole motive of doing something evil is not because of evil, but rather the whole motive
they're
of doing
prioritizing it over something they shouldn't be, and they're distorting it's a misordering of values. And
they're
this
trying to
it's probably a misordering of a combination of values for sex with values for economic well-being with social values, etc. Being misprioritized.
Yeah,
or power.
Anything.
Depending on, it's misprioritized.
Like those things are good, but they're trying to get those good things in a wrong way. That's what evil. That's
exactly.
So,
and people do that because the stuff's all shattered in the first place. Remember that one time where I actually described the fallen state? That one, I had to upload that on my channel as well. I described the fallen state. I'm going to do one of those Johan and Russ Presents videos. You actually do a case study where you take multiple world religions and you demonstrate that there is a parallel between it. You wouldn't see the parallel at first because it looks like it's describing 6 separate things. Then when you look at them within this paradigm, this is you can even break the paradigm down to full-blown physics if you want. If you do that, the conscious realism stuff, or you could do QIT as another alternative, which is simply quantum cognition without any theory attached to it. As an inductive thing, you can actually get all aspects of this out of the same. They're all parts of the same picture. They're not like separate pictures. They're pieces of the same picture that got separated, and people are looking at the different pieces, and it's the same. And one of the things that came up though was this notion of shattered consciousness. That was from a form of esoteric Judaism, actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of because it fits the whole Augustinian privatio boni model.
Exactly. So I mean, I think we just went over the ethics. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about, or do you want me to end this broadcast? We haven't been going for too long, but
I think we've probably exhausted what the main topic of this is about at this point. Now, I know you declared Johanna the winner. I would,
Well, that's my opinion. I didn't declare him.
I'm not gonna make any opinion. I'm not gonna.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I will say, Kyle, you've been. I'd say you were a pretty unbiased moderator. So
I know that. I know. Well, in the after debate, I'm not really a moderator. I have my own opinion. That is my opinion. I mean, I know you're going to disagree with it. That's fine.
No, that's cool. I mean, we've all, I don't think we've had any ad hominems today, so that's great.
I'm sorry. I apologize if I kind of made you feel bad because I.
No, it's fine. Look, I understand that you start off sympathizing with his views. So, but just remember that I came for a specific dispute, and after we
was that could you get God out of the metaphysics, even whether or not God says could you actually get him out of the
yeah. And so after we resolve that and get that compromise, I'm willing to discuss whatever and consider whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
So what do you? I mean, what do you? Not to debate, but what do you think about the topic in general? I mean, do you now think that there is good sound evidence for God, even if you might not agree or accept it? Do you at least accept that it's more plausible that there's sound evidence for God?
No, not sound evidence, but I'd say, I'd say he used inductive premises pretty well, and then of course, he has an understanding of physics that I don't understand. But my assumption is that the same rules of a priori mathematics apply to the math and physics. So I would impose the same properties of logic on those, despite my lack of physics knowledge.
Okay.
So I would so I'd say no, not sound, but I'd also say it doesn't matter. There's plenty of stuff we know that is not deductively sound. like for example, we've been talking a lot about consciousness tonight. Consciousness can't be, well, you can build the whole system with it, like what Johanna did, but it can't be proven soundly. Pretty dumb to deny the existence of consciousness, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't always need soundness, okay? But I just see, I always like going after, I kind of put a hit out on soundness when I see people
You want
going
to?
for
I
it.
know. I think consciousness is one of the things you can't really deny. So
Yeah, that's like
we can't really consistently
solipsism.
deny. Yeah, that's which is funny because it's like a limit. That's actually a view in philosophy. It's called limited materialism. It's like the one view that is worse than solipsism.
Yeah. I think, it's, I mean, you think solipsism is bad. Yeah, it's, I mean, we could all agree
the
solipsism.
one view. Solipsism denies everything but the mind, and eliminatism denies the mind too.
No, but eliminatism.
It actually, it doesn't deny the material, but it denies the mind that knows the material.
Yeah.
That can know anything at all. Like there is
Yeah.
no knowledge of any. It destroys knowledge and truth, literally.
Literally. Hilarious.
Even the lesser forms of it are really like giving up way too much. Like getting rid of qualia is hugely. I mean, the whole Wittgenstein argument against qualia. If you use that, it destroys language as well. Because everything language refers to is defined in terms of qualia.
Yeah, I mean,
in one way or another, it represents it. Yeah, it represents it.
Yeah.
So I just don't know why anyone would go after qualia.
Yeah. Well, I do if they want to preserve materialism.
Yeah, no, and that's right.
Even
at all costs.
Even given their argument doesn't work because, I mean, the entire point is that qualia is private.
Can I ask you guys something?
Have y'all watched? That's what it means for it to be subjective.
Yeah.
Of course, it's based on private language. It's subjective. It's like.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question.
It doesn't exist.
Have y'all watched the debate between Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson?
No, that would be an interesting.
Oh,
because I know Sam Harris is not entirely opposed to the kind of views Jordan Peterson would have.
First of all, Sam Harris is one of the most civilized debaters I can think of. I don't agree with his hard materialist views, but he's at least going to. He's real. I like listening to him anyway. So
he's also more open-minded when it comes to many people.
Yeah, but so are you familiar with Jordan Peterson's views
on religion?
Well, he's kind of a postmodernist, though. I mean, he doesn't think Jesus came back from the, or he doesn't disbelieve in. He's agnostic on the resurrection, which
I've heard that he's not really said much. He's been very careful to try and make his views.
I think if y'all watch this debate, I think if y'all watch this debate, he discloses his whole epistemology.
I'll have to watch. All right.
Jordan Peterson destroys.
No. I mean, it's up to you, right? I mean, all of Sam's fans think Sam won, and all of Jordan's fans think Jordan won. But Jordan Peterson and were intended on having this debate about, I forget, some topic, and they never got past first principles. Fundamentally different epistemologies.
Well, I think that's kind of a big issue. Like people.
What's Sam Harris' epistemology and what's Jordan Peterson's epistemology?
I mean, Sam Harris is all empirical, scientific facts. You have to be able to, empirically, and Jordan Peterson, is instead he's going to take that philosophical approach of what is truth. Let's.
The way you're going, I like that. I do. Now the thing about this is that I think that people have got to try and find a way. I like doing this on my channel, is integrate the a priori with the a posteriori.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, I argue. I would say it's pretty hard separate them, honestly. I mean, you can do pure mathematics for a while, but after a while, you have to plug some real stuff into it, or talk
Like-
about actual eggs in baskets, 5 eggs in a basket, you know. So
And some epistemologies, they kind of like question big intuition. So like, you know, they'll say, like, for example, you'll see the Will Lane Craig fans do this, where you have quantum mechanics, orthodox quantum mechanics, that goes against intuition of a, you know, realism, but then they'll hold to Bohemian mechanics, and their justification for holding to Bohemian mechanics is not because it's more parsimonious as a scientific theory, but rather because their epistemology presupposes realism, and so therefore they have to hold to Bohemian mechanics in order to say realism. I mean, I've seen that happen a lot, and it kind of is annoying.
Bohemian mechanics, yeah.
No, not just that, but like
Oh.
the epistemology part. Like they have,
Oh, that's totally. They're kind of sort of question begging. They question. If you notice how much they question beg when we bring that up,
yeah.
it's terrible. They're question begging all over the place. The William Lane Craig guys question beg all over the place when it comes to physics.
that's one thing I've noticed about you, Johannan, is question begging is the fallacy you're always out to get.
Yeah.
I think everyone has a pet peeve fallacy, and you know.
Yeah, that one is annoying.
My pet peeve fallacy that really rubbed me wrong is appeals to authority, and I just kind of see a lot of institutions and like.
Oh, I agree with that too.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna. That would be my second main pet peeve fallacy.
Here's the question: would we even freaking have an academic structure without appeals to authority? I mean,
probably not in the same way. Yet at the same, I mean, so in a sense, there is an element of. I mean, like, say, like I cite a scientific journal. Is that an appeal to authority?
No,
at some very deep level, yes.
Well,
but
here,
we have to function that way. It's not, you know.
This is something I've argued a lot in my group on Facebook already. And let me just lay out what I think about this. So you cite a source, a scientific study, right? And I say whether it's an appeal to authority depends on one little tweak. Whether you are claiming that it's true because of the credibility, or whether you're claiming that it's only strong or probable because of the credibility. If you put it in the realm of induction, well, then validity doesn't apply anymore. It's only about weight of the evidence. So as long as you admit that credibility and authority are only weight of the evidence and in the realm of inductive probability, then you're safe. But once you tell people that they are wrong to question authority, well, then that's starting to sound a lot like deduction, in which case you inherit the rules of validity and have made a fallacy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I see that a lot with, like, whenever I argue with materialists online, like, whenever they have no argument left, they cite, like, I think this one survey where, like, I think it's like 56% of philosophers accept physicalism, and then they'll use that as a defense of physicalism, like, most philosophers accept physicalism, and therefore physicalism isn't wrong. Like, that's not really I've seen that, and it annoys the crap out of me.
Yeah. Say that again. Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit, and I was just.
Sorry, I meant that whenever I argue with materialists and they have no argument left, they cite this one survey where 56% of
that is so that is the kind of we have a plan, Gaspar. And by the way, what are your politics like generally?
I mean, they're almost non-existent. I hate politics. Okay, remember I told you I'm a moral relativist, so I loathe politics.
So you don't even care, like you're kind of apolitical.
Pretty much. In one way, here's what I think. Like, I do think history literally repeats itself. Any differences we see have to do with technology having changed the philosophical questions that we're even asking in the first place. So I tend to chip in with technology changing the future. So, however, I don't like the idea of materialism having hijacked philosophical questions that maybe can't be answered by science. Now, I know that's not a popular view.
I can't stand that.
Yeah. So So I'm still a little bit old fashioned on that. I'm saying like, okay, I think let empirical science make our smartphones and our medicine, but don't start telling us what to value, what art to appreciate, what morals to practice. I'm out of here with that because that's bad epistemology. It's totally invalid because you can't get oughts from is statements. This is why the is ought problem is so important, in my opinion, is because it's not an excuse to be a psychopath and do whatever you want. It actually makes an important distinction that science cannot tell us what art to appreciate.
Yeah, materialism has because they've because of a collaboration of science with a confabulation of science with materialism, which is on my channel I've shown that's completely false. That whole notion, like false in every conceivable way, not just I have a completely immaterialist physics that explains everything, literally.
Nice.
Or the framework for that. What nice? Oh yeah. Anyway, okay. So the thing with this is they have these problems in what Kyle was pointing out. These problems where they just cite these authorities and say, "Have you seen Benjamin Speed Blake Watkins does that?" Kyle?
Yeah, I've seen him do it.
It's terrible. I mean, especially but all the consensus among the philosophers of mind is that it's like, 65% that they think it's physicalism, 30-some% they think it's non-physicalism.
And it'll be like, I think like 4% idealism or something like that.
And it's like, so what? Are you able to think for yourself or not? And it's like, and the thing is with this is because, if they were in the field, it would be a little bit different. But the thing is, I am in the field. That's I mean, in master's degree, you still are studying a wider range of philosophic topics.
Yeah,
that was my focus.
Yeah, but you're probably more accredited than like some of these people that go on TED Talks,
Yeah, I know the philosophy of mind. When it comes to philosophy of mind is my thing. I mean, it's my starting point for metaphysics, even.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all there? Oh, okay, cool.
Were you saying, Johanan?
They've substituted, or they've done. They just do that whenever there's a. I've seen it up close, and the arguments that they make in Phil Mind for materialism are terrible.
Well, I've actually gone on the Wikipedia.
They're truly terrible. They just jump to stuff. They jump to conclusions.
But here's the funny part.
They inject scientism in.
Yeah. I went on the Wikipedia. And I looked up physicalism. And I looked up. I think there's like 2 arguments for it. One of them was completely absurd because it kind of assumed that science somehow had this monopoly. No, not science. It somehow assumed that physicalism had this monopoly over science, and that since the world is quote unquote physical, and since science studies a physical world, then therefore, physicalism is more likely. Even though the foundationalist argument turns out on its head, that was one of the main arguments, and then the other argument I can't really remember, but it was really it was really dumb. Like it was ridiculous. There are simply no good arguments for materialism.
Yeah, for physicalism. Yeah, it's a ridiculous view. Anyway, yeah, especially since you can have non-physical physics now. That's Hoffman's.
Yeah, exactly.
There is non-physical physics. So anyway, they have that, and so the problem with this is there are several 3 areas I've seen this. Now there is the social sciences, which are horrendous. Okay, but that's not even. I don't even consider that a valid part of academia.
What is it?
SJWs, feminists, LGBT agitators.
Oh, that no.
Those crap. They do. They're not even. They're not even interested in anything intellectual. They're interested in agitating and protesting and causing trouble, and bullying people with words. Like it's ridiculous.
Whatever. Yeah.
I have zero respect for that. Anyway, it's basically a big Marxist game. Now,
and the bigger issue about that is, apparently they can't replicate something like half of their studies.
For which one?
Yeah.
Which
The
studies?
social sciences. The
Oh
social
yeah, yeah.
sciences.
Oh,
the whole gender studies thing. Yeah, that's
Well, the social
ridiculous.
sciences apparently have a serious replication problem.
Yeah.
Read an article about it. It was a couple of years back. It made a whole bunch of, it was all over the news and stuff, and people were arguing about it.
mhm.
But that's just, I don't know, that's scandalous in my opinion, dude. Like if you have a field that wields such authority and persuasion and demands the degree of respect as what these PhDs do, then you better be reproducing your studies, or
Yeah, but the thing
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that is I the thing about that is I don't see PhDs in women's studies or LGBT studies or race studies or any of this garbage, right? I just, when I think of them, I think of politically correct gobbledygook speak. That is something that I would gleefully trample over, like take a Trump roller and just drive over the whole thing. All the loudmouth, pink-haired, SJWs outside. Just get Mr. Tito Mussolini as steamroller and drive over the whole part of academia.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was,
I mean,
with a nice big Pepe, frog sitting up there laughing at the.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, but yeah. I mean, it's just. I mean, I would, when going after the credibility of the field just muddies the water. I mean, yeah, I don't really like the field either, and they delete items from their taxonomy when they vote on.
All right, now, do you know where? I'm going to point something out about this. Do you know where this garbage in the social sciences came from? Does anyone here know?
No. Where'd it come from?
Well, I think it's like feminist epistemology or some crazy weird shit.
Okay. Well, that bullshit. Okay, that all, and they have the same stuff with they talk about heterocentric, like the cisgender garbage, and they have these different normativities and so on. And okay, that whole frame of thinking. Do you know where all that garbage came from? Like garbage, like polluting the political discourse with language like that in social sciences. It came from a group of idiots in Frankfurt, Germany, called the critical theorists. What they did is, after World War I, they were wondering, well, they were Marxists, and they were wondering, why is it that the different people, they sided with their own country over their own class, right?
Yeah.
And they realized, well, what holds a culture together, our country together? Whether you're rich or poor, you all salute the same flag. You worship the same religion. You have the same customs, etc. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, now this is not to excuse racism, but oftentimes you're of the same race. Especially in Europe, there's the French are in France, the English are in England, and so on.
Yeah, they're in that. Yeah.
And so what they wanted to do was they then combined, well, what is driving these people? They hate Marxism when they should be loving it because it gives them all this extra money, right? Yeah. So what they said is, well, what's driving it is their psychological motivations, which are defined by their culture. And they combine this kind of a Freudian view of, psychology and just kind of a materialistic view of psychology. I think it's based probably on Darwinian,
Neo-Darwinism.
Well, Darwinism is based on survival, natural selection, and how do people reproduce when they?
No, but I know Darwinism, but I'm talking. Well, I know Neo-Darwinism.
Okay. What I'm getting at here is, when we will reproduce, it's through sex, right?
Yeah.
And so, therefore, if psychology is just a product of evolution, then psychology should be primarily sexually driven. And so Freud's psychology made everything about eros, or sexuality.
Yeah.
And so what they did is they then combined that with this Marxian critique of culture and said this is all due to the reason that these religious people, these poor religious people, were voting for or fighting for their country, despite the rich people in it, was because they're all sexually repressed. They're using that energy to fight for their civilization rather than their class.
Oh, God.
Exactly. So what happened? They then, now these guys were causing so much trouble in Germany, okay?
Yeah.
Now, this is not to excuse what this guy did next, okay? This opposite guy was not good either. But a certain leader, I'm going to use the German translation of the term leader, came to power in Germany and didn't like what these people were doing, and half of them ended up in concentration camps, and the other half of them ran over to America. And they set up shop here, and then, well, you obviously know the guy I'm talking about is Adolf Hitler.
Yep.
But anyway, the dirtbags that were, they took the critical theory and they imported it over to the United States, and then we have the 60s. Which is where the birth of all this garbage comes from. All this, you see the millennials behaving this way nowadays. Yeah. I can't stand my generation. It's terrible. It's literally it's awful. My generation is awful. Anyway, what? So then what they did is they used this stuff as like a corrosive acid on everything in society, like all the traditional structures of society that kept society together. America was happy. We had like a booming middle class. Even the poor were not so poor that the poor here live like kings compared to people in Africa.
Yeah.
They chances are have their cars. If they don't have a car, they have still a bus with public transportation. They have food on the table, etc. They have a house, a TV, and a computer. It's just how that's how life goes. Now, because of that, what they did was they then started growing in the social science department, took over the social science departments, and they developed this in the critical theory. So it's not just disintegrating one tradition, right? It's disintegrating a tradition around race, or one around women, or one around sexuality, or one around et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they have all these different cultural studies departments now as a result of this. Yeah. And the whole point is to criticize the traditions as being oppressive, so they can get rid of those traditions and then, use that as a way to institute Marxism. Well, I think, honestly, the people who originally started this don't even care about the classical Marxists. I mean, to a degree they do. It's what you see, the Bernie Sanders idiots. But I don't know if you voted. Yeah, I don't know how you voted, so no offense if you... Anyway, so yeah, this whole thing is based on cultural Marxism. And you dig that back. Well, where did cultural Marxism come from?
Well, Marxism, communism.
Marxism. Okay, but where did Marxism come from? Dialectical materialism.
Yeah, dialectical materialism. Yeah.
Now, if we destroy the concept of the existence of matter, what happens to that whole giant edifice?
This falls, gone, destroyed. The whole system just crashed.
Wiped out. The entire planet has been wiped out. We'll come out of the hyperspace into an asteroid field.
Hey guys, it's kind of late where I am, so
all right. So the plan is we want to create a kind of online movement to do to academia regarding materialism what Donald Trump did to politics.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
We want to import new people.
I'm just all about disrupting. Like if you've been in my group, have you looked at my group at all, Johanna?
Which one is it?
The Cult of Pure Reason.
Yeah.
It's all about criticism. It's just all about criticism. And Kyle's been in it a little bit.
Because the whole cultural Marxism thing, they call it critical theory, which is funny. But now we're ending up having to criticize what they're doing.
Yeah. My group is about pure skepticism. But the thing is, like, I just like disrupting dogma. That's what I'm about. I don't like. I just think dogma is presumptuous, and
Yeah. Now
been out
you
to
might
destroy.
not
So
like the second part. You might not like the second part of what we have in mind, but you might actually get a kick out of it as a practical political tool.
no,
So
yeah, just yeah. Let's
the
see. We can have
idea
another
is we
discussion.
can use this idealism stuff, okay? Promote it and get it to undermine materialism. Now it's going to take a long time before the implications of that get filtered down to the social sciences, which are just ridiculous, right? There are some things that can accelerate, but let's be honest, there's a lot of damage, and it's going to take these things are going to kind of become detached, entities on their own right to some point now. It's going to take a long time to get that taken care of. But in the meantime, there is one other institution in society that naturally opposes this kind of stuff.
What?
Organized religion.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to find a way to get all this idealism stuff pumped into academia, like all over the place, in the physics, cog sci, metaphysics, and phil mind, okay?
Yeah.
And we're going to, there is a politics, you said that you notice how people refer to authority, and and Kyle pointed out they refer to like these consensuses, even if the consensus is obviously, and I'm familiar with these consensuses up close in some places, and each of these fields has certain, shall we say, shibboleths or taboos that they don't want people to break.
Yeah. That's right.
And there are, and there's no good reasons for these things. You look at them up close. It's a groupthink thing. There's a social dynamic driving it, and so it's very simple for just come in there and start disrupting this stuff. If you do it from the outside, you can do it in a way that's very what's the word? Devious, not quite. Subversive. You can actually start, because you can actually present the actual arguments as is, and because they're actually the academic arguments. But in each of these fields, they have been kind of ignoring, like they've been finding ways to like pretend the arguments or not quite reach. In physics, it's the worst. I mean, physics has the best and the worst in this, because the physics is the best at supporting, like it's the most metaphysically obvious, but it's the worst when it comes to ignoring it. They literally have this thing called "shut up and calculate," which literally basically means we don't want it. We're not going to draw any metaphysical conclusions at all. We're going to be like permanently agnostic, but for no good reason.
By the way, when Gasper leaves, I want to talk to you about that, because did you read that blog I linked you at?
No.
It talks about that. Anyways, you can continue.
Oh yes, I did read that. Yes.
Oh
yeah, I did. Yep. I read that a long time. Anyway, so the plan then is we simply take all this stuff and popularize it to the lay audience as though it is solid consensus physics. Here's a good example of a video, and this would be an actual quantum mechanics documentary, which would be same value as quality as like a PBS documentary, and it would use actual 100% experimentally verified science. It's all been published in peer-reviewed literature. Okay. What we do then is we simply present this to the audience of saying, how did such a notion as materialism start from being common sense intuition to be like the consensus or basically would end with like some statement of, and now the scientific consensus in physics is that materialism is false. And bring it, and just do this as like, and this has been peer reviewed and confirmed in all these experiments, and do it in not as though pretend there is no debate. Okay. Firstly, despite the fact that it's been falsified, it's kind of like taken as status quo in the physics department, right? That it's materialism. But they just ignore the conclusion by saying, shut up and calculate. So we're going to simply say that the consensus is, because the consensus of the physics technically is, that idealism, not ideal, but that materialism is false, okay? But the consensus of the physicists, as in their non-scientific opinions, is the opposite. So we're going to ignore that doesn't exist. We're just going to act as though we have the academic authority behind us, even though technically we don't. We have the scientific authority, but not the academic authority. And so we're just going to kind of present it as though we do. It creates this illusion of authority. Everyone starts believing this stuff. Okay, the four most powerful words I've discovered are the words "science has discovered that."
Yeah.
If you preface anything you say with that, people will just eat it up lock, stock, and barrel. Especially if you put scientists on saying it, as well as studies and so on, experiments, all that point to the conclusion. People will eat it up without, you just go straight up eat this. Put it out in public, okay? It's a big campaign of this kind of thing. Everyone just starts eating this stuff up. Number one, that attracts some people in academia who would not have been as bold before. Because it's now socially acceptable to start believing and talking like this. And number two, when that comes out, the other people are, these scientists, they don't live in a void either, right? There are people that, there are some scientific fans of them that they'll interact with, and they may be socially influenced by them. And so once it's become socially acceptable to adopt this, you get a handful, trickle of them starting to adopt it, or at least looking into it and thinking, maybe this is, something to look at. You shift their focus of their consciousness in that direction, and you can start to siphon some in. And the third part, which is this is where it really comes in. Max Planck pointed out that, science advances one funeral at a time, is we simply take all that big lay audience, we get them real interested in the science. And then once they are, interested in the science and they believe, the actual, what the science is saying, rather than, the non-scientific opinions that get added on top of that, we simply attract them into these fields and import them whole scale into these various fields. And then suddenly there is a swamp of idealists just pouring into the physics department. And,
yeah.
5 years later, then suddenly there's this humongous outpouring of the entire graduating class or idealists are all going off to grad school now. Could you imagine how disruptive that would be?
Yeah, that would be.
Could you imagine how pissed off a lot of people in academia would be?
Yeah.
But they couldn't do a thing about it. They couldn't do a thing. It would literally be pulling a Donald Trump on academia.
Yeah.
Just steamroll your way right in.
Well, hey guys, I'm getting really tired. It's late where I am, so
All right.
That's fine.
This was a good discussion.
Yep.
Again, I apologize if I was kind of biased there at the beginning.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
It's all good. So, yeah, cool. So,
What
yeah.
I found to be hilarious about this? You ever watch Through the Wormhole on the Discovery Channel or Ancient Aliens on the History Channel?
Of course I watch Ancient Aliens. That's what my group is about.
Okay, but do you know the kind of mannerism? Here's one. I'm on your group right now, and here's a meme someone posted. There's Giorgio, Mr. Crazy Hair from Ancient Aliens. Is such a thing even possible? Yes, it is.
Yes.
Now, have you noticed that I've actually used language very similar to that in some of my videos?
Yes, I have.
Do you know how effective that is? You ever notice how effective that is at pulling people in?
I guess it's rhetorically appealing to a certain kind of person.
It's kind of hilarious, actually.
Yeah.
And I've actually had some very pissed off, these are SJWs who realize that what I'm doing is bad for them because it gives power to religion, which is politically a problem for them, right? There's more religious people, there's less SJWs, right? It's simply a matter of playing the politics game there. And they realized this is doing this, and they were really angry with me because I was pulling people into their it was causing they were complaining that I was causing people to become religious by force by shoving all the science in their face, and as a result, it was getting in the way of their I think it was LGBT issues, or it could be misogyny. It was something. It was something like sexism or homophobia or something like that, and it was and they were complaining about this, and I'm like, oh, now you know exactly why I'm doing it. they were mad.
Yeah. That's how they are. I mean, some of them, the radical ones, have been accused of violence. What?
You've been accused of violence by SJWs.
Well, no, I mean for I had someone say explicitly that they considered my skepticism of transgender gender theories to be a act of violence. And
Skepticism of transgenders?
yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Yeah, that's okay. This stuff actually causes people trouble. I mean, Jordan Peterson was like having like threats, I think, because of this whole like not refusing to use pronouns for mental disorders.
Yeah, that's what propelled him to fame. But you've got to watch the debate between Sam Harris and him.
Please tell me Sam Harris is not adopting this SJW crap.
Of course not.
Okay, good.
No, Sam Harris.
I have a degree of respect for Sam Harris, and it would be a shame if that degree of respect was.
No. He stood his ground through the whole, movement. Basically, like he's pretty. He takes things issue by issue. So, honestly, if he was an SJW, I wouldn't be listening to him. I consider that to be the radical end of liberal thought. I mean, there's good liberal thought in my opinion.
Yeah, good. Classical liberal thought, not liberal like today's liberal, classical liberal. Yeah, I like Sam Harris is someone I would like to sit down with like a glass of tea with or something sometime.
Yeah.
Honestly.
That kind of guy. Well, guys, I gotta get some sleep, but
Casper, we should talk about this later because in the future thing because we want to. It would be wonderful if we can get organize a number of people who don't like SJWs. Now, I'm pretty sure this SJW person called you alt-right or something, right?
I mean,
or not?
Yeah. I mean, you get called that all the time.
Okay.
And of course, if you're like me and you're middle of the road. Then your conservative friends are going to call you a cuck and a snowflake, and your liberal friends are going to call you a neo-Nazi. So,
okay, so what we should do is take everyone who has problems with SJWs, which would be you, centrists, it would be alt-right people, it would be a whole collection of people, and we'll explain the problem of where this stuff originated from, how we can politically change it by giving religion power. That's the only thing that has a cultural force that can impede SJWism now. And we can then show them how we can get idealism and it will undermine this. And we just have this massive campaign to the public. Don't even bring in religion directly. Just bring in stuff that will be very useful for religious people. Just steamroll right over atheism with, right? And you put this out there, the massive campaign to just dump this literature, media out there. And, media literature is paper form. But, media, like just science, documentaries and so on, philosophy of mind documentaries. Keep pouring this stuff out there and swamp the environment with it until you basically empowered religion to the point where it can provide a significant social force against SJW.
Yeah.
That'd be very controversial. It would be very practical.
I see what you're saying. I just I try to avoid getting behind political movements anytime I can. Now, I understand you're proposing an epistemic movement, and that could be a different thing.
Kind of both, it's multiple.
Yeah, but
can you imagine? It would work very effectively. It would be a lot of people would be very angry about it, but they couldn't do anything about it, which is the funny thing.
Yeah. Yep. All right, guys. I'm really tired.
I know.
It was nice talking. I wouldn't mind doing it again.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. So.
Yeah, I'll be around in the group. Y'all can add me to any groups that y'all are in or running or whatever. And thanks. This was fun.
Yep.
All right. Sure. Talk to you guys later. I want to get off myself, so let's see you. Hey, Eric, you haven't said much.
Yeah, you haven't said much.
Yeah, I kind of just sat in and listened.
So what do you make of our plan?
I mean, I'm all for it, man. I'm an anarchist myself, so I'm for it.
What? You what?
I said I'm for it. I'm an anarchist myself, so.
Oh, anarchist,
With this whole, we can get a bunch of people, like not just the alt-right. We can also get, some classical liberals involved just to destroy social justice warriorism. Just completely destroy
social justice warriorism is a cancer. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't even believe some of the insanity coming out of this. It's gotten even past the point of like destroying religious liberty. It's gotten to the point of destroying free speech.
Well, not only that, but
the point of
they hate white people. Like,
what do you hate white people for being white?
I don't know. I mean, even
What,
Michael.
is this a caricature?
IP Inspiring Philosophy, Michael, he actually mentioned this in one of his posts a few months ago, and if you look at the arguments that the social justice warriors use against white people, they are the same arguments that Hitler used against the Jews. Just change the word Jew to white people, a white person, and it's the same argument. So
and so the sad thing is, many of the people that are using these arguments are white people themselves.
Exactly.
It's like what are you that they're brainwashed. It's you know what the thing about this is it's like it's emasculating, embarrassing. Like you'd think that these people would have a psychological, visceral reaction to being.
Yeah, like they're so bad. Like,
man.
I've seen a lot of I've seen the atheist community on YouTube criticize social justice warriorism.
But let me guess. They would say that that's transphobic and ciscentric or something like that. Cisnormative. They would complain about my cisnormativity for calling.
There's the Armored Skeptic that did a few videos on one. Who's the other guy? I can't remember his name. This Slenderman looking guy. He does like response videos to a bunch of social justice warriors.
But this would be a very highly effective approach, and it would just come in and obliterate these clowns.
Yeah. It'd be hilarious.
What did you say? Something phobia?
I wouldn't be surprised within a few years if what's it called? If pedophiles are seen as not as bad.
Pedophilophobia.
Yeah, pedophilophobia.
Pedophilophobia.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of happening right now, I've noticed.
There was an idiot on TEDx arguing that either Big Think or TEDx that necrophilia isn't bad. It's only because we have this natural disgust for it, and that's not a moral argument, he said. And so therefore necrophilia should be legal.
What's necrophilia? I never heard of that. What is that? Is that
having sex with dead people?
Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where this crap is going.
You have to ask.
They had someone else arguing for bestiality on the same grounds.
Yeah.
This is turned into complete lunacy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's only going to get worse.
It's literally the collapse of an entire society.
Yeah, the only thing that can... You need religion to fix this. That's all there's to it. You can't run.
I mean, that's no other. I mean, that's the only social, force that could.
It's big enough to really counter this. I mean,
yeah.
Now the upshot, I've actually noticed there's a lot of atheists online that are not liking this SJW stuff any more than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Noel Plum. I like Noel Plum from before. They had the whole atheism plus thing, and then what's her name? There was the girl that complained over.
Yeah, but even
taken up by a date. Richard Dawkins made a really. Richard Dawkins really took that.
Oh yeah.
Down on that one. And I love the fact that they hate feminism. It's glorious. But if we could, and there are some of them with Stefan Molyneux, big atheist, and he's saying that he wants more religion in politics because religious people are less likely to take his property from him.
Yeah, well, because religion, I mean, that is a social force. Like atheism isn't really a social force. Like you could argue that
it did decay though. It did open a way for a social force. Is the problem?
Yeah. So.
And then there are sometimes atheists are combined. I mean, there's this one guy I'm talking with now, dialoguing with, and he is an atheist academic, and he's trying to shut down religion because it's going to get in the way of prostitution being legal and abortion being.
Isn't that Matthew?
Yeah.
The guy you thought, yeah, him.
He wants to be able to have sex with 35 women.
Doesn't he have a? Well, he has a blog, and I've seen some of his stuff. It's like. the Bible and the Gospels. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
To make an effective movement, though, what we need to do, especially because of and there are subtle biases in academia. They're noticeable. It's just that they have these little blicks. It's really subconscious, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, emergent space-time. When you see emergent space-time, it's obviously immaterialism, isn't it?
Yeah, but they'll say no. But they'll say, "Oh well, it's when they say emergent, it doesn't really mean illusion. It just they describe it that way." Like I've seen.
That's bullshit. That's the whole shut up and calculate. It's a mathematical description. That's literally all they're hiding behind. There's nothing. They have zero argument. If they took the metaphysics of the implication, it would only be this is immaterialism. Even if it's not idealism, it would be immaterialism. Yeah, so that's literally what they're hiding behind, and that's all they're hiding behind. It's actually dishonest, and they don't even realize this. You just drive a steamroller over this whole thing, and you'll go in and just literally crush the entire thing from the outside.
Yeah.
Impart all these academics from the outside, and there you go.
Yeah. I just kind of wonder what's going to happen in academia in 50 years, especially, well, if they're going to teach it in schools, I mean, obviously that's going to be huge.
You want to hear something funny about that?
But what?
The reason that guy probably thought we're going to teach it in schools is because he probably saw something similar said in the simulation hypothesis video.
Wait, which?
That's the guy from Fairwind Films.
Yeah. What?
Okay, now watch this effect, okay? The guy from Fairwind Films he told me, I talked to him directly, and he said that Inspiring Philosophy his video would not be there were not for Inspiring Philosophy. Inspiring Philosophy, I mean, he got inspired by a few other sources, but Inspiring Philosophy was the main reason he made that video. And then I told him, well, do you know who gave Inspiring Philosophy all those? He's like, no, that was me. It's like, you're awesome. And then he put me in the credits. So
yeah, I saw the credits.
Yeah,
I saw your name in it.
So anyway, he started that, okay? So we have him. He put that in there, and he brought this out as being it's going to be scientifically compatible in, this many years. Okay, now before this, no one was talking about either the Gates computer code or about any of these simulation parallels to the physics.
Yeah.
Then you saw that one video, right? He gave like 3 pieces of evidence: speed, like non-realism, and entanglement.
Oh, you saw that video? I think I linked to it.
Yeah, that's the one you linked it to me. And saying that in 50 years they're teaching this at school.
Yeah.
And that guy believed it, right?
Yeah.
That this is just this, and technically, the thing is, in the physics department, a lot of them treat it as this is just a tool, right?
Yeah.
A description. Now, what's funny about all this, though, is that guy in that video, he presented to 1 million subscribers as though this is a bona fide scientific fact, right?
Yeah.
Well, or very likely. This is maybe not a fact, but this is a strong consensus among experts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The funny thing was, you know how he got that? The idea came from the simulation hypothesis, which came from IP's work, which came from me. The reason he's out there talking to 1 million people like that, and the reason that so many of those people on his channel are going to believe that now, is because I was playing
that one video
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was producing it, but it wasn't about, well, not one video. It was due to the manner in which I was presenting this material, as though it was.
You're right.
I mean, it is established science, but the problem is that academia treated
the ideas are out there.
Yeah,
the ideas.
The point is that it would never have come out that way if it was scientists presenting it, at least not right off the bat. Some of them are presenting it. I mean, you see, some of the people I quote, for example.
Yeah. Now, what about
would never have done that because they would simply have taken it as being a tool, and they would.
What about through the wormhole? What about through the world? Because I know there's one episode where they actually
they put Gates computer code on there.
Was that you too? Did you cause that?
I caused. I don't know. I didn't cause the. I don't think I caused the other thing, but I did cause Gates computer code to end up on through the wormhole.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What's hilarious is Eric, I don't know if you know about this. Gates computer superstring code, it was a dead story in 2012 when I viraled it. It had been dead for at least 2 years. When you look on Google search, before, what was it, March 21st of 2012, what you find is that there are fewer than 10 sources of it on Google, okay? You know, you select for date on Google search, and most of those sources are very obscure references in technical literature or brief mentions in biographies. Or, you know, or original, like, scientific papers themselves are like, you know, like this basic stuff on archive. You get lost on archive somewhere, right? Other than that, there was like 2 popular level, like little, like very short popular level things that almost no one had noticed, including a piece of audio. I saw that. I took the audio and I turned it into a video, and then I lobbed it up on some forums under some outrageous titles. The next day, I go on Google, okay? The first 10 pages of Google search have my exact word for word title repeated over and over again on forum after forum after 10 pages of Google search full of internet forums. And then another 5 pages after that where it's like half that and half not. And it's hilarious seeing this. And after that, it just blew up all over the place on the internet. And now it's spread on through the wormhole. And then when you watch the last year's Isaac Asimov panel debate, you see that briefly Neil deGrasse Tyson walks up to Gates and says, well, you should really be here because you're really the reason that this whole debate is on this year anyway. The topic of this debate is on this year, right? The simulation thing. Which it wouldn't have been that way because that topic had been dead for, you know, 2 years, right? And yet it pops right back up. And, you know, there's Gates on there, and Neil deGrasse Tyson is saying that the reason that they're doing this is because of Gates' superstring code discovery, which, you know, would not have been a big thing. It would not have been, you know, popularized to the degree on through the wormhole and so on and etc. if I hadn't made that video. Now, because of that, after the day after the debate, Elon Musk comes out. You've heard about this? Elon Musk comes out and says he believes in the simulation hypothesis. And the reason he believes in the simulation hypothesis, he says, is because of, you know, he's influenced by the debate to come out and talk about this. And, you know, it convinced him. So indirectly, I caused Elon Musk to believe in the simulation hypothesis.
That's great.
Just I did that out of literally my parents' basement, basically. I scrapped together a video, put loud Inception music on it, took Sam Harris giving the simulation argument next to Gates' discovery of the superstring code, and then it blew up all over the internet.
Cause all this madness.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Beautiful chaos.
The next morning, the next day, I was watching the next week, and there are all these people like going hysterical over it, and there were these irritated atheists. Like, please don't ask him for evidence. He's going to post this ROTC clone rubbish is what he... Oh, no!
Dude, people are going to lose their freaking minds over this.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's absolutely... It's so... I mean, the physics is so strong. It's so easy to do this now. The philosophy of mind is simple, too. You do this, you can... I mean, I turn people... I mean, Kyle, you were an atheist before you saw IP's video, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll get into that. So, I was a Christian. Well, actually, I was a Earth creationist for a while.
Right, that happened. That's probably happened to all of us.
And then I deconverted. I became a theistic, but then I came around the interaction problem, which kind of just, you know, how that goes. It just kind of destroys my faith. And I was a materialist, and I knew all the arguments for God because during that time, of course, I got into apologetics.
But none of it really mattered because the interaction problem would seem to shut down God's ability to do anything with that.
Exactly. So it didn't matter.
And then you saw that one argument. Yeah, it would just shut it down.
Yeah, the one
was impossible because of the interaction problem.
Yeah.
And then you see that one video by IP, right?
The digital physics argument.
And you said your head melted down for like what, the next week?
For like a whole week, I was in an existential crisis, basically.
Oh my god! And it happened that literally the existential crisis started like 15 minutes after the beginning of the video, didn't it? Like right when the video ended, you're like in existential crisis, right?
Well, I had to watch it a few times to like absorb it all, but
it was too much. But like basically, and at the same time, you're instantly a theist after watching that video. maybe a few times, but right.
Yeah, I was instantly just.
That's happened on more than one occasion. I've had one person start as an atheist, scientific materialist atheist, and come out of Berkeley an idealist 15 minutes later. It's insane how effective this is, and you do this, and it's going to cause an existential crisis for reality, like for society. It's going to be hysterical, and I'd love to see, because it can happen. I mean, if you can get changed, your mind can be changed that fast, right? And you're not the only one. I've seen numerous people do this. I've been able to do it in a mere conversation. Like, it's going to start. Don't ask me how I did this, because I'm not going to tell. But and the word "talking snakes" isn't quite accurate here, but we won't get to that either. However, after a 3-hour conversation of dropping consecutive mind bombs on a former materialist atheist, literally 3 hours later, I got him believing in literal quote-unquote talking snakes. That fast. Now, that's a whole other can of worms how to get there. But you can start with, instead, the just the digital physics stuff, right? And the metaphysics and all that stuff, the simulation for sharing our space due to quantum cognition, etc. Dump all that stuff out there, and it can cause a instantaneous reaction. It's a bit like throwing an alkali metal into a fish tank. You ever tried to do that? Anyone? No. Don't. You're going to blow your fish tank up.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen people do this where they like throw like a chunk of magnesium into like the river, and it just blows up everything. That's why I've been wanting to contact one of these large groups, like large channels, and get them start doing this like virally. If that could happen, the instantaneous shock would be just glorious. And it happens so overnight that you have like these instantaneous converts, and it's beautiful because I mean the materialists. Okay, the materialists. I shouldn't say materialists because the atheists. A lot of them now are hating the social justice warrior movement, and I really appreciate that. A lot of them are also culprits in the social justice warrior movement, but I won't get to that. But a lot of them at least hate it. Okay,
we're still live, by the way, so just want to let.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. What's beautiful about this, though, is they have this infrastructure, okay? And that's how SJWism has all its power, okay? And leftism, etc., right?
Yeah.
And because of that, there's this capacity for it to cause a lot of havoc. Now, the one thing that could get in their way is religion. Right?
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously.
But what happens if you suddenly have this, like, a better analogy would be nanotechnology, replicating nanomachines. It's a little problem at first, right? You put them on the ground and they replicate, all of a sudden you have this giant mass of goo that just grows everywhere and eats everything.
Yeah.
It was never a problem. They built all this for years trying to destroy this thing, right?
Yeah.
And they were so effective, and they almost got to what they wanted. We just dumped the gray goo on it, and all of a sudden, in like 15 minutes, it starts dissolving everything. Can you imagine how pissed off they would be?
Oh God!
But the thing is, we have the proverbial gray goo. It's the symbolism physics.
Oh my God!
We just need all we need right now. Literally, the only thing we need to make this work is a delivery mechanism, a large delivery mechanism to make this work, a large channel. And the thing is, once we then get on that large channel and also explain how this is going to be effective at shutting down, this radical leftism SJW garbage.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to. You've seen the way the Donald Trump fans work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're ready to. They're going berserk. They're running around like wanting to blow stuff up with bazookas. Almost, it's ridiculous. I mean, you've seen 4chan, right? It's and that's that. There's millions of those people. You know.
Yeah.
Can you imagine once a large pocket of them gets a hold of this idea?
Oh
Like,
no.
One sharing of this idea to 100,000 of them. Can you imagine what would happen?
Yeah, they would lose their minds.
They would lose their minds, but then they would be like, "We can use this." And you'd have basically another example would be I remember you like a Dragon Ball Z where he changes, you know, and suddenly becomes super powered.
Okay.
Yeah, but imagine like imagine instead a different analogy. I remember someone had compared the atmosphere of the quantum idealism movement to the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Imagine what would happen. They don't like that very much, right? Well, imagine what happens when you have like self-replicating Power Rangers all over the place.
It's destroyed so fast.
Self-replicating power.
And it happens like so fast. This could happen if we get this going. This could literally happen within a matter of months. This could happen within a matter of months, and it would be way out of control so fast it's not even funny.
Self-replicating.
What?
Self-replicating Power Rangers. I'm not over it yet.
Self-replicating Power Rangers.
It's like the worst nightmare that the monsters can have.
Oh my goodness.
That they can't even handle fire.
I would feel sorry. I would feel sorry for. Actually, I mean, this is going to happen. I mean, the dynamics, the environment right now is literally explosive enough for this. It's literally you just have to drop a match in the right environment, and everything's going to blow to high hell, right? So
it's like setting off the start.
We already have the motivation. The alt-right people, the 4chan people. You know, Stefan Molyneux, etc. These people have the motive. I bet, you know, Sargon of Akkad is an atheist. I wonder if he would be up for using, if he understood. I mean, he's kind of against religion and politics to a degree, but I know his social. I mean, he's not like super socially conservative, mind you, but I know he can't stand SJWs, and I'm sure if someone shows the historical anatomy of the problem and how we got here and the structure of it, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing that can functionally fix it, I'm pretty certain they can be convinced to destroy this, okay?
Okay.
That's all. I mean, once they understand how these kind of movement works and you see the end result of this in Western Europe where everything's down the toilet, you know, they've become a cucked culture, shall we say. They don't want that, and they know the only thing that would prevent that is mass religion. And they know the only thing that can bring back mass religion is quantum idealism.
Yeah.
And they know that without mass religion, this SJW movement will continue. We can even show them why it will continue because of these social, and intellectual factors driving it, and how they're tied into materialism. Get rid of matter. We have the gray goo, which turns people into idealists in a matter of 15 minutes flat. And you yourself, Kyle, are Kyle. You yourself are. I mean, you ever notice how hyper and excited you got about like energized?
Oh, but wait, what did you say? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Remember after you were an atheist and you saw a digital physics video, right?
Yeah.
You saw the digital physics video.
Yeah.
And then you like literally after watching the video once, you became a theist again, right?
Yes.
It was that quick. And you're not the only person like this, okay?
Yeah.
Now, and then after that, not only did you become a theist, but now you're like a leader in the idealist movement, and you are hyper about it. Like you wanna, and you gotta like go out and destroy stuff, right? Or
Yeah.
like fight stuff, like taekwondo moves on
atheists. I've destroyed a few atheists.
In bullet time, right?
Yeah.
Taekwondo moves in bullet time. Okay.
Like Neo in the Matrix. Yeah.
Exactly. My point is, Kyle, you are living proof of self-replicating Power Rangers.
Oh God.
Now, can you imagine? Okay, we have the gray goo. Okay.
Okay.
the self-replicating nanobots that will swarm and eat everything in sight. All we need to do, and we have the alt-right movement that wants to destroy. I mean, if you go to these places, there are helicopter jokes all over the place. Go to God Emperor Trump's page, right? That's like a very popular page. Okay, let me actually go there right now. Let me see what we got here. This is hilarious. It'd be awesome to share. Let's go on there. Photos. I'm going to share this in just a moment. Here we go. Got Emperor Trump coming up. You guys see it? Okay, this is there. You guys see it?
Are those the memes on the channel? I mean, on the page?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
We have Donald Trump spitting fire. We have what was it? Pepe trying to beat someone with a stick. We have, oh my goodness, it's ridiculous. They had recently. Oh, this was beautiful. You gotta see this. We have Trump.
Okay.
Let me find it. They just actually I shared it on my YouTube. Okay, well we're gonna watch this one. This is beautiful. Okay, let me see if I can't get this up on a large screen. Can you guys see this? Everyone see this? The video. Is it showing?
Video. Oh, not anymore. Your faces.
Okay, but it was, you saw Star Wars?
Yeah.
Okay, let me open that up again. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Okay, here, watch. They just posted this today. Actually, 2 days ago on God Emperor Trump. Let's watch this. Why is the audio not working? The audio is not working. Why is that?
What?
I'm not hearing the audio from it. I don't know why.
What? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. The audio from the video, I can't hear it at all.
Well, I can't see the video, so.
Okay, let me retry resharing the video.
My grandparents are hella pissed off right now. I was supposed to be down there like an hour ago, but whatever.
Oh boy. Okay. Explain the situation.
No,
we're
they're in
doing
bed right
to
now.
save the world. Okay. Is it showing again now?
Yeah, I can see it now. All right,
So
I'm gonna mute. All right, yeah. All right, let's mute our.
That might work. It might be because of that. Yeah.
Okay, I can't hear it. You muted your mic, Johan.
Okay. Well, in essence, you can see here it's Pepe being given orders from being given order 66 from God Emperor Trump. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're blowing CNN out of the sky, and and this page. I mean, this is like, look at how popular this stuff is, right? This is popular. People are pissed off. Okay.
Yeah.
This is 300,000 likes on it. There is a swarm of people that want this stuff. Okay. Now, if they were given this idea, okay, and they were showing how the self-replicating nano goo works, could you imagine what they would do with it?
Use it, destroy. Oh, if the page got it. Oh God.
If not the page, not just the page. I'm talking about the whole alt-right movement in general.
Oh shit.
Oh shit is right. There would be self-replicating Power Rangers from like here to New York City. It would be like chaos and pandemonium in the streets is what it would be.
Yeah.
I love how meticulous.
And it would happen, and you know how fast it would happen? I mean, literally, they could have all their academic arguments for atheism, and then if materialism is true, dialectical materialism is true, therefore Marx. Rights aren't really valid, etc. Then we're going to build these Rawlsian social constructs to let people vote each other's rights and have a social democracy. And then we're going to have all our SJW garbage. Okay. All of that gets destroyed in a single hour of watching videos. And you have alt-right people like across the board spreading this stuff like all over the place on social media.
Oh my god.
Could you imagine the complete lunacy that would ensue out of this?
And then the big part when they announced it on the news, when they announced it on national TV, of all this crazy stuff.
You know what would be funny is these people that are like so vested, but I mean, I talked to Matthew. I know why the guy is wanting atheism to be, why he wants to get rid of religion.
Well, I've seen some of his comments.
It's literally because he wants to have. It's disgusting. He wants to have sex with 35 women and not, like.
Which is his choice, but I mean, I
know, but he wants that to be normal. He wants to spread that ideal.
Yeah, I know his motivation.
Yeah. And he's not the only person like this. I know a lot of people like this.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of them personally, but I know the motivation. I know where this is coming from. Okay.
Yeah.
So the point is we'll just drop this out there, and it's going to destroy all this like no time flat. If we get the right payload, we have to communicate to them the importance of why this stuff has to be spread, why it's not going to work any other way, and why it's effective when you're a living proof of it, Kyle. Dario was another living proof of it. He was, granted, I didn't have the digital physics argument formulated then, but he did with the day that I came out with it for the new atheist video, he became a theist.
Yeah.
And it was the physics stuff. It took a little while to develop that was when the ideas were still in development, But when he came out, he's like, "Oh yeah, it has to be this because that's all it's obvious."
Yeah, that's the conclusion.
Could you imagine the degree of social shock that happens from this?
Oh my god.
The social shock it'll be like rapid. Like, I mean, not everyone will be converted as fast as you, but they'll be converted in.
They'll be thinking about it in their heads.
Yeah, they're thinking about it in a way that's going to cause severe cognitive dissonance for them to reject it.
Yeah.
And it's going to cause.
You already see that with the duelists that we have had to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. And the arguments that people use, okay? I mean, the dualists have bad arguments, the materialists have bad arguments, okay?
Yeah.
And, I mean, using Bohmian mechanics to try to refute this, are they crazy? Like, that stuff is so many... materialists don't even adopt that because they understand how bad it is. And they're the people who have the most, vested interest in adopting it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, there are a few exceptions. The Ayn Rand people, for example, like Bohm, but, you get the point.
Yeah.
Anyway, we dump all this out there. And the thing of it is it will change them so quickly. I know I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit here, that it's like an instantaneous social shock. It's like you just instantly nuke the place. They built a city up for years and years and years, and the city is full of filth. Okay, it's like garbage.
Yeah.
And we're just dropping Fat Man or Little Boy on it. And then the big burst of white light comes up, and there is a huge big burst of white light and a shock wave of fire sending in all directions, and a gargantuan mushroom cloud. And all the stuff is destroyed all over it. And the funny thing about it is literally the whole academic establishment that is behind this. I mean, it's not the whole thing, right? Because, I mean, it's the physics. There are some of the people who understand the physics, and the physics people are producing valid physics, even if they shut up and calculate on it, which is stupid. And a lot of the philosophy of mind people like Chalmers and so on, it's all valid stuff.
I don't think he's not a physicalist. He's a panpsychist, but yeah.
I know, but the point is that he has arguments that are valid.
Yeah.
We use. And, we use the P-zombie argument, the hard problem. It's because these things are what, the point is he's producing material that is valid and not just, garbage.
He's making
Sean Carroll is producing material that is good and not garbage. It's just that he doesn't understand, unfortunately, the the implications of his own physics, as demonstrated by that. Oh, that's. I have to show you that screenshot too. That's ridiculous. Okay,
Which one?
I'll show you in a moment. Oh, I got to open it first. Stupid me. Where is it? You guys see it?
Oh yeah, you said that yeah, I've seen that before many times.
In truth, only atoms in the void, and then again, so that's his philosophy. Doesn't base on anything. And then his whole physics, which is what his whole career is about, what his expertise is about, is arguing against space.
He's arguing
everything that he should stand for as a physicist, as a theoretical physicist. Everything he is arguing for is literally against space. And then, but in the upper corner, he says only atoms and the space, like
against the void. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's a direct contradiction. It's not more clear. It's ridiculous. And I'm going to bring this up in that video when I make the pitch to the people on this. And it's that fragile, and the whole thing is a house of cards. It can be destroyed, like in no time.
The only thing that's preventing people from accepting, of course, is cognitive, which is unfortunately that's how humans work. Like if you present facts that contradict someone's beliefs, they're more likely to, the backfire effect where they're more convinced of their beliefs.
That is true, but that's when we're going to use a different tactic with this.
Yeah.
We don't give it as you're an atheist and we're going to refute you, haha. We're going to do it as we're science popularizers and we would like you to sit down and enjoy a nice hour discovery of quantum mechanics.
Oh, God.
So sit back, relax, and absorb the content we give you mindlessly.
Science has discovered that.
What?
I said science has discovered that.
Yep. Exactly. Science
I was
has
thinking,
discovered that.
I can't remember his name, but you remember the whole the atheist worst nightmare with the whole banana argument, the stupid.
Oh yeah, that.
We should turn, instead of using we should use arguments from idealism and the atheist.
Do you know that less than those people live less than 10 miles from me?
Wait, what?
Ray Comfort Studio is less than 10 miles from me. I'm not kidding. Bellflower. It's in Bellflower.
Okay.
Funny, he's all a creationist and everything. It would be totally irritating if I get Morland to you might know him. I don't know if he knows Morland, but if I get on Ray Comfort on his show and just give him the physics, give it in a way that he can take and popularize by himself. And instead of using the banana arguments, he has his gospel tracks and his street evangelizing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And instead he's going around and hammering people over the head with quantum physics. Could you imagine the lunacy of that?
Oh, God.
Can you imagine how the atheist community would react to something like that?
Oh my God. That'd be hilarious.
I mean, it would be awesome. It would just be like, and the thing is, they would not be only dealing with him. They'd be dealing, when we drop the gray goo, as it were, it would be coming at it from all sides. Like everyone and their uncle coming out, and it's hilarious because I've seen people argue they take even after the superstring code was viral, right? And I knew that was instantaneous trouble when I saw it. I was when I made that video, I was eager to put that thing up on YouTube because I had the feeling of the little boy crying fire in the crowded theater when I made that video. I'm this is going to be so good when I put this up. And the next morning caused the stampede.
Oh shit!
It hit 22,000 views overnight. Literally, it was hilarious.
By the way, did you watch my testimony, Christian Idealism? Did you watch that video?
No, I thought it was already something that you were going to give that you haven't given yet.
No. I didn't give it to the school yet, but I did remember that video.
Oh, give it to me. I might not have seen it yet. I've been a little,
it's 52 minutes long, but I basically presented the basic case for both idealism and just how you can get Christianity from idealism directly. Hold on, let me.
Oh yes.
Did you watch that? Or I know you probably didn't watch the whole thing, but
Maybe.
I mean,
just give me the link again, and it'll be okay. Just give me the link, and we'll see it.
I
Now, you know what? You know what? Also, I realized is the spirit science people would probably like to like. I mean, you know, they're not seen as very high quality, obviously, because they have a lot of pseudoscience in their videos.
yeah.
But I'm sure they could make good use of this material, shall we say? Wink, wink.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. That's the other thing.
It's like we have neutron bombs in the basement, and we say, "All right, kiddies, you know, kindergartners, would you like to play with neutron bombs?"
Yeah.
Here
So
you
the
go,
video.
we're passing them out.
So the video I sent you, that's the video I'm going to be showing my club on January 25th.
All right, excellent. I'll watch this.
I think I'm going to. You can watch it later if you want.
Hey, I'll watch it later. Yeah, this is going to
But
be. But you made it into a video.
Yeah. No, I made it. There's no background music, but I was talking, and I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm
You can put a layer of background music on that pretty easily if you want.
I probably will. I'll have to.
I can give you any epic music you want.
Well,
Usually,
is there a way you can do that?
Well, it
like,
depends.
I don't.
You can take. All you do is you take the video, put it on, and then you add another layer of. You know, once you have the video, you can put another layer of audio on it.
Okay.
You'll want to tune it way down, though. You're not.
Yeah.
You make sure you test the audio strength because it's. I learned that you have to usually tune like the music. And people even complain that.
But I think
music is still sometimes too loud, even though I tune it way down. You know.
Yeah, I converted one of my uncles to idealism just by showing him.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Like that exactly. There you go. Self-replicating Power Rangers. I mean, and just because the he's probably Christian, I'm guessing, but you know, just because he's Christian doesn't mean it's any less, you know, powerful. Because, frankly, the whole realist intuition that no centers matter is just as strong for the atheist as the Christian usually.
And the thing in the presentation, I didn't even get into like the strongest arguments. Like I presented, I think the strongest.
Oh, I know. This stuff is gray goo. This stuff is literally gray goo. It's destructo mode.
Yeah.
It's Neo crashing the Matrix stuff. You know, it's. I mean, this stuff's going to cause. You know, here's the other thing about this. I once joked to my dad about this when I came out to California first.
Yeah.
I told him that, you know, I got my science fiction movies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my videos, and I told
Your
you
screen's
about, you know.
black, by the way, but yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but I'll just go off screen share. But it doesn't matter anyway. I don't know.
Yeah.
Forget it. Anyway, so I have my science fiction movies, right? Novels, and there's a movie company at home that wants that they've slated Alaris for the third movie. They have to get the studio up, you know. Once they get that up, they have another project in the works right now that it's about $500,000 that I think will, once it's successful, will give them the money they need to build a studio. Once they have the studio, they get the big infusion of cash from Warner Brothers to start making actual movies. Now, the thing of this is you put all this together, okay?
Yeah.
And okay, what I was suggesting was I told my dad this, and I said, so I'm going to make all my movies into, you know, science fiction. You know, a friend of mine had actually Yuri Gauss. I don't know if he's on Facebook anymore, but at the time he brought me down to LA and he had me meet a guy. I didn't know who the guy was, but the guy had turned out to be a celebrity's son. Afterward, I'm like, oh, and the guy actually knew about me. He's like, oh, cool, he's the guy on YouTube. I'm like, oh wow, the celebrity's son knows me, you know, like because of my stuff. Yeah. Anyway, what I was thinking of this is I told my dad this, and you know, my dad's kind of like doesn't like California for probably good reasons, but
yeah,
I told him this one thing, and this is what I said. So I have an idea, Dad. What I'm going to do out here is make my science fiction movies and novels into movies at the company. And then after that happens, I'm going to start a new religion based on a combination of quantum idealism and my science fiction movies.
A new religion.
And then I'm going to convert all the celebrities. And he's like, you behave yourself out there. He just starts laughing hysterically for the next minute. Like 2 minutes, he's just laughing.
Well, idealism kind of is like
In
its
a
own-
sense, I know what you
in
mean.
its own denomination.
Yeah. It's interdenominational. I know what you mean. I mean, yes, it's Christian. At least it derives the redemption model. So the fallen state model and the redemption model in a way. But other than that, I understand what you mean. It's novel, shall we say?
Yeah.
But the whole notion that the stereotype of the science fiction based religion that all the celebrities adopt.
Yeah.
I mean, that brings up certain stereotypes that are very unique to California alone, shall we say?
Yeah.
Specifically to Hollywood alone.
Yeah, where you live. Yeah.
Or LA, yeah, exactly. But that was like, oh no,
It's hilarious.
Elron 2.0. Now, the funny thing about this is people, once you start believing you're in the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
People, I mean, and the physics is quite solid on this. There's going to be a period of time before all the ideas have been settled, okay? Where everyone and their uncle is going to start coming up with ideas about this, okay? For a short period of time. When this happens, they're going to combine it with the craziest. I've noticed this before I've seen like idealism and science thing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm putting out, mainstream physics and philosophy, but just because I'm doing that doesn't mean all of my fans will do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So I got on my idealism and science page, and I took this is like some years ago I did this. And now it's more settled down. We're more talking just regular science and philosophy in a more straight and physics in a straightforward way. But for a while, it was physics and philosophy, and it was all solid stuff. But it was intermixed with all kinds of insane stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were people posting stuff about UFOs, reptilians, psi. Like it was a circus, is what it was. Okay, there was a poll conducted on it about what is your religious belief. The poll went over literally. We found out we actually found from that poll what the maximum of views were on a Facebook poll.
Yeah,
it was 100 views. That's how many views of religions were put on. That's what happened, okay?
Yeah.
Now, they're going to mix all of that insane stuff, okay, with religion. But the thing about it is because everyone, I mean, you're going to, having a humongous chunk of the population suddenly, like, overnight believing we're in the Matrix, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the social shock of that is going to be incalculable, shall we say, okay?
And then it gets even worse with the whole inner space thing.
It gets worse with the inner space thing, yes.
Yeah.
And that can be done in just about the same period of time. So, like, in the period of a week, the social shock of this is going to be ridiculous, okay? Now, we combine that with, all the ideas people have, like, the crazy ideas flowing out there. They're going to start, like, hybridizing with every crazy idea imaginable. And there are going to be clusters of people, like, organizing around these different crazy ideas.
Yeah.
You're going to have 1 million Scientology clones sprout up overnight after this happens.
Scientology, oh god.
And that's going to be like, you're just going to see that happen. And it's going to be hilarious to watch this break out. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be social pandemonium and chaos is what's going to happen. I mean, it's going to, after a while, the good ideas are going to rise to the top. The bad ones are going to fall because it's going to, the dust is going to settle and things are going to become acclimatized more. But for a couple years probably, there's going to be this nuclear explosion of insanity break loose.
Yeah.
Like, and it's going to be funny watching people's reactions to it too, because you're going to have, some people are going to be looking at you with they're going to be looking at the other half of society, or maybe two. There's going to be one remaining third of society that's going to be looking at the other remaining 2/3 in complete disbelief, and they're going to be like scared out of their mind, like the whole world's gone insane overnight. What are we even like? They're gonna think that the insane asylum has become the real world, and they better lock themselves into the insanity asylum just to keep themselves safe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would love to do this. Troll the entire world.
Troll the entire. Oh god.
Oh man. Oh man, this would be too much fun. Remember Gaspar said I was trolling scientific transhumanists like crazy, and he saw me there. This is gonna be beautiful.
Yeah.
This is just gonna be utterly beautiful.
What time is it? Oh dang, it's 1:15. It's pretty pretty damn late.
We can get off, yeah.
4:15 here.
All right. So you want to end the broadcast? I think we've pretty much went over everything.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right.